All right, I think we're live, Giorgio.
This is it. Hello,
Yeah.
everyone.
Hey, everyone. So, welcome to this webinar on engaging minds, the neuroscience of active learning, together with Perlego and Wooclap. Okay.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Giorgio, and we're joined with myself and Annelies. And we're going to talk to you a little bit today about active learning, how we can do it inside and outside of the classroom. So, Annelies, do you want to maybe say a little bit about you, explore what it is you guys do at Wooclap?
Yeah, sure thing. Sure thing. Thank you. So basically, we really like to bridge the gap. So we like to encourage student participation in pedagogical planning. And during this webinar, basically, we're exploring the potential for collaboration between educators and students. So we're going to discuss how to incorporate student voices in the creation of class programs and how it can contribute to the own sense of ownership and engagement of the students. And basically, from Wooclap's viewpoint, it's really all about the importance of interactive tools that can facilitate such collaboration. So by enabling students to contribute to discussions, quizzes, and other elements in their learning journey. And basically, the idea is to figure out how student voices can be incorporated more meaningfully into that learning journey. And Giorgio, can you inform us what Perlego's perspective is on this topic?
Yeah, of course. So we think that it's really important that students go away outside of the classroom and engage in their learning. And it can be hard to motivate students to engage in reading and things like that. So with Perlego, we're an unlimited access library that allows students to go beyond the reading list and explore different themes that strike their interest. So because of that library, it really allows them to be a bit more independent. Aside from the core topics, they can explore new topics. And we think that we hope that helps to create that active student participation, which is kind of what we're talking about today.
That's it. Awesome. Well, let's dive into the agenda of today. So we're checking in on several things. Firstly, really the need for increased student participation, and secondly, the key to building a dynamic curriculum, and thirdly, how to craft an adaptive learning experience, and then of course we will end with a Q&A session. But before we start, I think, Giorgio, we have some questions, right? So, dear audience, please do connect yourselves by scanning this QR code you see on the screen with your smartphones. So you can also click on the link that my colleague is sharing in the chat. So then you can join the session through another browser window, and we will give you some time to connect to this event. And then we're starting with some icebreaker questions, basically. So I see that we have already 9 people joining. Let's give you some more time to connect. And for those that are still coming in at a later time, do not worry, you will still be able to click that link in the chat. And maybe we can already start with the first question. What do you think? Let's go.
I think let's do it.
Good. Dear audience, where are you from? That's what we like to know today. Where are you located? This is a find on image question. So you can just pin yourself on the map, submit it, and we have a overview of where you are, where our audience is located. Everybody's coming from Europe right now.
Yeah, I suspected this would be quite a European
All
group.
right, awesome. South of Europe, that's good.
One from Turkey.
Yes.
Welcome.
Hey. Great. All right.
I suppose in Australia or something like that, it's the middle of the night right now. So
That's it, just sleeping. Awesome. Good. Well, thank you, dear audience, for sending in these lovely answers. And another question for you guys. What is your profession? What is it that you do professionally on a daily basis? So we have a professor amongst us. So we can change this. We have a word cloud. Let's keep it on that word cloud. We have teachers, lecturers, professors, instructional design. Awesome.
a lot of people who teach and lecture. I suppose it makes sense given the topic for today. So
exactly. Happy that you're here with us today. Microbiology as well. Awesome. Students too.
Oh, well.
Hello, welcome. All right. Good. Let's close this voting here. And what do you say, Giorgio? Let's get on to that first topic.
Let's do it. Yeah. Welcome, everyone. And I think it's just to understand, who we're speaking to and where you're all from. So thanks for doing that.
Awesome. So, dear audience, now let's dive into the need of increased student engagement, because I think that we are all familiar with the traditional top-down way of teaching our students, right? So imagine the scene, students sitting in front of a teacher in a big auditorium who talks during hours in a linear way, basically not effective at all for students to be able to learn. And it really creates disengagement, and that leads to a very, very low level of information retention for the students, as well as a big lack of motivation during the core sessions, which can then result, of course, in high dropout rates. So all of this also impacts the teachers as well, their meaning and the purpose that they want to find in their position. So basically, the most effective way and approach that we at Wooclap have noticed with our partner institutions, the universities, is that active learning approach. So the facilitation of communication between the students and the teachers will really nurture motivation, and of course the students, they will obtain a much higher level of information retention. And of course, active learning enables the development of the students' soft skills as well, like critical thinking and problem solving. So basically, in order to move from that traditional top-down approach towards active learning, we do base ourselves here at Wooclap on the 4 pillars of learning invented by Annelies Dejonckheere, cognitive psychologist and neuroscientist at the Collège of France. And he actually highlighted the main contributors to successful and active learning, which are attention, active engagement, feedback, and consolidation. So he is really referring to these 4 fundamental elements as the 4 pillars of learning. And building a class using these 4 pillars enables better information transmission, and it will create effective active learning. So what we will do during this webinar is focus on that active engagement part. So we will not go into more details for the other pillars, but of course you'll find more information on the blog article that my colleagues are going to share in the chat right now. And of course, throughout the communication, we will send to you after this webinar. So very concretely, and this is where in order, and I'm hoping that my slides are getting through, that's it. So very concretely, in order to create that active engagement in the classroom, you're able to first create momentums. So go ahead, go and organize exercises, activities during which the students are active, where they really have to think by themselves. And secondly, make sure to really diversify these exercises, because it's not only about asking an open question or a multiple choice question. With Wooclap, you can use 21 different question types to really engage your learners within your class session. And thirdly, go ahead and generate those peer discussions with your learners. Give them the course material in advance so they can read it at home. And then, of course, during that class time, you're able to first briefly summarize that topic and provide your students with a first question that is really focusing on the key notion. And this, again, is where students are thinking by themselves. Silence prevails a bit, they answer to your questions, and then if you see as an instructor, okay, well, the rate of success of my students' answers is really below that 70%, go ahead and invite them to discuss with their peers, convince each other of the choice that they've made, and then return to that concept again, explain it again, and go back to that exact same question. And of course, that fourth block here, give feedback. Giving the students feedback throughout in real time is very important. All right. Giorgio, what about Perlego side?
Yeah, hey, hi everyone again. So Perlego works kind of as the flip or the support to what Annelies was just talking about there, with the importance of creating independent learners. So with Perlego, we have three things that I want to talk about today. So the first thing is this barrier to accessing content. And what Perlego does is we've got a space where there are 1.5 million books all in one space. So the student doesn't have to go between different sources or maybe come up against paywalls. They have it all there and they can explore themes wherever they, whatever they want to look at, it's all there. And that really drives that independent learner. So maybe there's a core textbook that you've recommended on Perlego. They can read that and they think, actually, there's some interesting themes in there that I want to explore further. Type it in on Perlego, they go and find it, and that's it. And so it's really easy for them to learn. And that's what can help drive that engagement, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later with this idea of the flipped classroom. Accessibility as well is really important. I know that we talk about it a lot, but it's so important for engagement because everyone has different learning needs. Every student has a slightly different relationship with books, with reading. And so in our platform, there's the ability to listen to the book. There's a lot of auditory learners out there. Perhaps it's changing the font. Some people want to use an open dyslexic font or a beeline reader, which is something that changes the color on each line so students can glide through the book much more efficiently. And we found that students who do listen to the books read for, on average, 50% longer. And similarly, an increase with students who use a beeline reader. And then finally, and I know there's a lot of lecturers and professors in the room today, we've created something called workspaces. And as I'm sure you're all aware, it's no longer the days of go and read this book and regurgitate the answers in your essays. There's a number of different multimedia sources to find out information. And lecturers want their students to go above and beyond the reading list, to go and figure out, oh, what about this YouTube clip or this podcast I heard? Really informing ideas and then getting back into Perlego and finding academically rigorous sources for those concepts. So within workspaces, you can link Perlego books, you can link PDFs from outside of Perlego, as I said, podcasts, YouTube clips, and things like that. And that really helps to create this workspace, which is why we call it that, where students can explore all these different themes, and they can create their own ones too, and share it with their colleagues or with you. So that's kind of how we try to drive that after the class as well. Over to you, Annelies.
Awesome. This is very interesting. Let's take a look and let's ask our audience a question as well, because we really want to interact during this webinar. So this is a brainstorming question where you notice different categories. And we want to know very briefly what your go-to technique is to get students to talk, to engage in class conversations. And next to this, how are you keeping them interested during class, be it synchronously or asynchronously, so inside, outside the classroom? Let's give our audience some time So basically you'll have that little drop down on your phones, on your browser. You have those little post-its with the color. So the red is the go-to technique. The orange one is how are you engaging them inside the classroom, and the blue one outside the classroom. I already see some incomings here. So we have asking questions. That's it. Prompt your students with questions. Word clouds will help as well, definitely.
I think the word clouds are often a good one because people might want to hide behind the anonymity. You know, sometimes asking a question out loud is hard. No one wants to put their hand up, but I suppose it's
that's it. That's it. A good one as well.
That's a great one.
Good one as well. So forums, naming graphs, free reading, of course. Come up with other questions and nominate each other to answer. I think that's a good one. It's another way of that peer instruction method to me. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yes, that is synchronous move. Very good. Case studies. We see that a lot. Perfect. So I hope that the audience can also learn from one another.
Yeah, some ideas being bounced around here. So
yeah.
I'm sure.
Oh, let's keep them coming. All right. Of course, this is a good one. Use Perlego as well. Definitely. Anything you want to still get into, Georgia?
I think there's a lot of ideas here around reading before class, and those kind of idea of the forums, the word clouds and things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're great.
Definitely.
So YouTube and TED Talks, I think in the modern age with the kind of the digital learner, they're so used to these environments that
exactly,
you know, it's a natural place to go and learn something.
That's awesome. As you said, with Perlego, you have that auditive as well. They can listen to the books. Yeah. So basically, at Wooclap, you could just like get a YouTube video into your Wooclap session as well, if you like. So that auditive part is really important too. All right. Well, thank you, dear audience. Let's close this voting here by using that little lock. Thank you for your send-in ideas, and let's now dive into building a dynamic curriculum. This is why we're here today as well. So let's first check on definition and an example of application here. So we know that a dynamic curriculum is an ever-changing and evolving process, right? Always based on the needs, the interests, and the abilities of the students. Whereas that application example of the flipped classroom makes sure that the students engage with new course material before joining class. So again, that class time is spent on understanding of the course material. And of course, we know that most of the benefits of a flipped classroom is relying on what is happening inside the classroom. So that is really that student-led teaching approach we want to get on. So we do not want education to remain stagnant. It needs to be dynamic. So the curriculum really should be based on, again, students' needs. We need to be more flexible as well. Go beyond the reading list for students. Go to that flipped classroom approach. Again, very important, making sure that your students can prepare before class and that they gain that fundamental knowledge at home first. So this you can achieve through digital means, right? Giorgio indicated it as well. And it really goes into the same benefits direction. They're more actively engaged and the class time can be maximized for that shared learning experience, where the emphasis really lies on the discussions and the involvement of the students with that course material. So use education technology to facilitate an enriched learning experience for your students. And Yes, of course, with a platform like Wooclap, you can gauge student understanding through quizzes and activities, give them real-time input on their understanding, and of course, you will be able to adapt your teaching accordingly. And engaging the students in dynamic activities will surely facilitate their memorization as well as grow their self-confidence and their growth mindset.
Yeah, I think it's really if we maybe just stick there. It's I think a lot of you were talking about it on that past slide about trying to engage students in different ways. But if we all look back to, you know, if we went to university, you know, for a lot of people, especially in the academic field, it's about building knowledge. But for the majority, it's about learning those lifelong skills, which Annelies mentioned. And so this means that we want to help students go and beyond just regurgitating information and more becoming those critical thinkers, analyzing information, balancing ideas and arguing and debating. And these are really those skills that come from thinking from that flipped classroom, doing the reading beforehand, coming to the seminar with ideas and debates with their colleagues, their classmates. So this idea of the dynamic curriculum as well is an important one, wherein in the case of Perlego, students have access to all these books and they go and have a look at topics that are of interest to them. And we can provide on the back end with our kind of account management team a report and says, okay, students have been reading these themes this week. Maybe it's, I need some more support with my referencing, which we have inbuilt in Perlego, or it's, I want more support writing essays. And the way we know that is because they're reading books around this, or they're looking at this kind of topic in the platform. And that can help you, it can inform you to support students in the ways that maybe they weren't comfortable sharing with you verbally. So this is kind of real life data on where students might need that additional support. That kind of feeds into that dynamic curriculum, very much a student-led approach. And then the flipped idea is that we've kind of spoken about already, where students do that reading beforehand and maybe they watch the videos beforehand and they find that independence. So it's not just, oh yes, I've read that textbook, that's it, tick. It's no, I actually read something new that I wasn't told to read, and I wanted to talk about that because I think it adds something to this discussion. And that's really how we try to help drive engagement in the classroom. And then the kind of final point there is in the middle about tracking that reading. So we can see who's reading, we can see who's not reading as well. So that allows us to support students to try and understand why it is that they're not doing that reading. And we can help them to be more engaged as well, which is a big challenge, right? Because you go away, you set the title, go and read this, and do they read it? Do they not read it? How do you know? It's hard to tell. So that's kind of my ideas.
Awesome. No, very interesting, and a very versatile tool as well.
Yeah.
Good. Shall we hop on another question, Giorgio, for our audience? I have something prepared. Because it's a journey, right? That dynamic curriculum. So, dear audience, can you briefly describe your institution's journey towards embracing a dynamic curriculum? We're going to give you some time. Yes. Slowly, steadily, but advancing, I hope. Let's see what comes in next.
I wonder if there are differences across different required for difficult and slow. There seems to be a problem.
Yeah.
There are a lot of kind of newer universities now who are very much embracing the digital and the dynamic curriculum ideas. But I suppose there are a lot of others who, have their ways. Some good. So it's kind of good and bad.
Let's actually see. More use of lecture capture tools to provide recordings that help asynchronous learning. That asynchronous part is really important here as well. Yeah. Expensive cost implications. Pragmatic nightmare. Let us help you for that part as well with Wooclap and Perlego. Complex models as well. I wonder where it really stands. Let's take a look in the chat, maybe if we already have some questions. Yeah. See,
Okay,
it's
that's
really, yeah, it's getting to have everyone with their noses in the same direction, I feel. What do you think, Giorgio?
It sounds like from the audience, there's frustration there that systems around them aren't supporting the audience, the teachers, the lecturers to get the best out of their students. I don't know if that sounds right, but that's what I'm capturing here.
Yeah, getting all those stakeholders into the right lane, basically.
And it is hard, especially at big institutions with lots of different layers of bureaucracy and who decides what. Does it come from the teaching staff? Does it come from a different department? It's hard.
Yeah, I do feel many people are wearing different hats and sharing those different responsibilities as well. All right. Not there just yet, but let's keep a growth mindset here. We can get there. Definitely. All right. Thank you, dear audience. I'm going to close this voting here and let's jump on our third and last part of the webinar right now about crafting and adaptive learning experience. So we're going to show you an example where both Wooclap and Perlego have been successfully used to encourage that student participation and evolving the curriculum. So here next, I'm sharing with you a case study that we worked with Hibernia College, so with dear Justin Staunton, the senior digital learning technologist. And really his main challenge was the management of different digital tools for teaching. And I saw as well in the previous question that somebody said the EdTech tools don't really integrate with one another. So if you have people using different digital tools for teaching, it will cause a lot of confusion within both the teaching staff as the students. And that was really a problem here. So Justin and his team had a need for a unified platform to keep students interested with the use of activities, and it really needed to integrate within their working environment. So the VLE, presentation media, video conferencing systems, and it was a great experience for them to introduce Wooclap to their teaching staff and the students, as they were able to facilitate that student participation both in online and face-to-face classes, but also they saved a bunch of time for their teaching staff by creating and sharing basically those reusable activity banks. And of course, this all made their students transform into active learners. What about Perlego, Giorgio? I think you have a nice case study as well.
Yeah, well, that sounds great with you. I've put a QR code in there if you want to check it out a bit further. Just click it now if you like to, but I'm happy just to.
I'll do that too.
Yeah. So one of the challenges that Hult International Business School had, this is Ronan here, who's the dean there, was that their students weren't doing the reading. So they knew this because professors were complaining, saying, look, my students, I'm asking questions about the reading. No one knows the answers. No one's done it. They're wherever, what students might want to do instead, down the pub or whatever. We've all been there. So this is a challenge. They're not prepared. And another challenge is that they're just not buying the textbooks. The textbooks are too expensive. The library's got challenges providing them to everyone. Maybe there's only a few copies, or there's a kind of concurrent access model wherein if the fourth student, if they have 3 copies online and the fourth wants to access it, then they'll be turned away. So they came to us and implemented Perlego into their university, which really was to drive engagement, to allow students to have all the books they needed in one place, from a different, diverse range of material. Not just, these are the books you need to read, that's it, well done. Actually, let's go away and look at different themes, different topics, and kind of try and use those to prop up our arguments. But crucially, just easy access to everything they need to succeed, because that's the barrier to entry for a lot of students. I don't know where to find it. I can't afford it. I don't have time to look for it. That's our real dream, is to just make it super easy, like it is to listen to a song on Spotify, or watch a film on Netflix, that kind of student-led. This is the environments that they're used to. And the outcome of that was, we've got some interesting insights there that you might be able to see on the case studies, that 40% of the books that are now being read at Hult are books that are outside of the student's main degree. So that makes you think about if there's an environment in place for students to read, that they can go and read anything they want, and really getting people interested in learning, in looking at new information and coming to class with these new ideas is always going to be encouraged. But professors as well can now trust that the students are going to do the reading, and those class discussions, using Wooclap when it comes to class, they've done the reading, they understand, what these kind of key terms are, and they have opinions. Just massively more engaged. So yeah, feel free to check it out. But yeah.
We do have a question in the chat for you, Giorgio. Let us check it from Donna Doherty.
Oh, we've got another. Oh, there we go. Natalie's answered it.
All right, well, perfect. Look at that. That's excellent sync.
Yeah, so just to kind of recap Natalie's response there. So that we have 2 models. So students individually, always welcome to, from anywhere, actually anyone in the world can have Perlego on their own. But then we work with institutions across the world wherein the university supports for the student. So essentially it's free for the student.
Awesome. Right.
Thanks, Donna, for your question.
Great. Good. So basically, before we're going to wrap this up, we do have one question for you, again, dear audience, because if we want to know how we can help you, we would love to have an idea from your side, like which topics do you need further information on to improve that curriculum in 2024. Can we help you with anything in this regard? Again, we'll leave you some time to brainstorm on your answer. And in the meantime, we have Robin. If we can make Perlego more accessible to the developing world.
Absolutely, yeah. So one of the things that we also have, Robin, is an app as well. So students accessing Perlego on their computers online, or they can download the app too, and they can download the books offline on the app. So whether you're in a place, it's something that's often overlooked, I think, is the assumption that students have really good access to the internet, and that's just something everyone has, or a decent working laptop. For many students, it's maybe a phone, but that shouldn't be a barrier to their success. So yeah, absolutely, and it's really something that we're trying to support, Robin. So thanks for your question.
Great. So we have one incoming topic, which is AI in education. Yes, buzzword, big thing. I think that's something, of course, that teachers should embrace, but then again, it will be, yes, how it will support much more everything that is time bound, let's say. So AI in education, for example, with Wooclap, you can go ahead and use AI. So you will not need to put all of your time into creating different questions. We have a little wizard doing that for you. Definitely important, AI in education. You have that skills-based approach as well. Anything you can add to this, Giorgio?
Yeah, the skills-based approach is kind of what I'm quite passionate about, is this idea of using knowledge as the vehicle through which to learn skills on articulating yourself and debating and absorbing information, and they're the real skills. So I love that should be a really important approach. And then just a moment on AI, similarly with Wooclap, Perlego are of course working on sort of small quizzes and things like that you can have to really help with knowledge retention. This kind of idea of active learning through regularly testing yourself, and AI is a wonderful tool for that. Of course, it's scary, it's divisive, but we believe that it's a super important and exciting tool to really enhance education in the future.
Definitely joining you right there. Yes, deploying tools efficiently. That is also a roadmap. That's a full project right there. You need to, again, have those stakeholders in the same direction. But I think this also has to do with our customer success teams. If you have that with Perlego, with Wooclap, we're there to support you in the deployment of those tools, of course.
Absolutely.
All right.
Hybrid learning is another theme as well. I think post-COVID, it's still so new to everyone that this idea now that most of the audience for your lecturers might not be actually in front of you, and kind of adapting to that to make sure that students are just as engaged online as they are in the real, in the classroom, in the lecture hall.
Definitely. All right. Let's save this for further information sharing with the audience from our end, from Wooclap and Perlego. And I would go to the questions. If our audience have any questions that we can address before closing this webinar, do feel free. We already had some in the chat.
We've had a few different conversations going on, I think, in the background.
Yeah, I see that Maria said it's so long to create the questions in Wooclap. Basically, it's where AI comes in, or little quiz wizard can help you to create those questions in Wooclap, and integrating questions in PowerPoint, of course. We have that as well. And all in all, if you use a certain Microsoft subscription or a standalone viewpoint, that is something we need to dive in together, but works efficiently. Anything else that we can address?
I just wanted to thank everyone for the engagement so far. I mean, it's great, everyone's ideas about, where you work, and then some of the challenges you're having, and it's really useful to understand the challenges for professors and things in implementing this kind of thing.
Yeah, let's dig into that further together between both of us, and do not hesitate at all, dear audience, to reach out to Giorgio or myself to stay updated on our advancements with Wooclap and Perlego, or for any further discussions together. I had a really great time. I hope you did too, Giorgio. I hope our audience did too.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much.
Thank you, everybody. And of course, you will have some communication coming your way after this webinar. And the replay, of course, will be set anytime soon as well. Thank you so much, and hope to see you in another joint webinar again in the near future. And thanks to you, Giorgio. I love being your co-host.
It was great. It was great chatting. And thanks again, everyone, for all your questions, all your contributions. It's much appreciated.
Have a good day, everyone. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.